Welcome back to the tool crib. We're going to be continuing our build of the Leatherman Super Surge. So what we've done so far, we have taken out about 5/1000 of an inch in thickness of these two tools combined and added an extra spacer washer. Got this side working very, very smoothly. Really like how this side turned out. Now it's time to move over to the opposite handle. So we're taking the combination tool, which was originally on this side, and we're moving it to the opposite handle. And we're going to be adding in a fourth tool. To accommodate that, in order to do that from the original three, we're going to have to take a lot of material out of the thickness of the combined tools that we have here. So right now we're going to be putting in this one, the awl, which has been reprofiled. Originally it started out at 0.0930 inches. I've brought that down to 0.0790. So I've taken out about somewhere between 15 and 20% of the material off of this one, and I think I'm going to like that a little bit better than what the original was. So between the two, when you add up all the originals, which our target dimension here is 0.295, that's what we need to hit when all these tools are put back in with their spacer washers. Taking off the spacer washers, the thickness of the awl, the thickness of the combination tool, we come up with 0.1625 inches. Now the added dimensions of the remaining tools are 0.1845. That comes to 0.347. And if we subtract that, our target dimension from that, we get 0.032. So we're 32 hundredths over thick right now. That's what we need to bring out. This particular tool is at 0.0930, and I think that I can get the majority of what we're trying to hit out of this one tool. And the reason that I want to do that is because I haven't yet decided on what that fourth tool is, but all of the implements that I want to put in there or considering putting in there are pretty much the same thickness. So if I get the majority out of this tool, then if I wanted to interchange and swap these for different things, depending if I didn't like it, then it's very little work that I would have to do to any one of these implements. I could put this driver, I could put the micro driver, or I could go back in with another large screwdriver and just build my own tool, and all of the measurements would be pretty much on par with one another with just some light sanding necessary in order to get them down to the correct thickness. So I think that's going to be our target. We're going to try to land somewhere in the neighborhood of 0.065, 0.064, somewhere in there. So we have to take very, very little off the remaining tools. Now to do this, I do not have a surface grinder. I don't have a belt sander. So what I'm going to do is we're going to be taking this and pretty much do it the same way I did the awl. Taking a scrap piece of plywood, we're going to take a hammer and a block, and we're going to pound an indention of that tool into that plywood. That way we can have something that will catch it, and then we can do light passes with the grinder without it just flying all over the place. It's something to trap it and hold it. And we're going to take the majority of the material out with the grinder, measuring it along the way, and we're just going to go real light passes so that we don't take too much out at one time and we don't overheat the implement. At that point, then we could take it out and we could start doing the sanding process, which takes quite a while. It's a lot of measuring to make sure everything is being ground correctly. It's just tedious, but it's well worth it in the end. So let's get started. I mean, it's time to go to work. We're going to be working this tool. Well, it looks like I might have screwed up. I got careless with the grinder and I went a little too deep on the edges here and in the center here, and it's getting to the point where it might not be viable to use as a chisel. So the thing of it is, I got too much time invested in this thing to give up on it. So I'm thinking that if it becomes to the point where I think it's going to be too thin to become a chisel, then I might try to integrate the package opener on the opposite side, as well as a box cut here. I don't know. I just got too much time invested in it right now to give up on it. So I'm going to go ahead and polish it down until I'm able to get all the grind marks out of it, just barely. And then we'll take a better look at it, see what we've got, and then go from there. Well, I've almost got all the blemishes out. I still got just a touch to go, and I'm down to point 0.058 on this one, which is way beyond what I wanted to go. So it was a little bit of a screw up on my part. It's getting pretty thin, and I really don't want to go any further. And I don't know what I was thinking, but I got my math wrong. I needed to take out 5 thousandths or 52 hundredths. I'm sorry, 52 hundredths overall. And so it's kind of a good thing that I overdid this one. But I'm still going to have to take some more out of the last implement, I do believe. Probably, I don't know, I think 1,000th or 100th, I mean, overall. Let's just put the stack together and see where we're at so far and see if they actually fit in here. So they go in, and I got probably about 1,000 or 100th overall that I got to take out of this stack still. So I'm going to have to get the last 100th in whatever implement I put on the back side. I'm getting very close, but I think I'm going to stop because it's just getting to the point where if I go much further, it's just not going to be viable as a chisel. As it is right now, it's still strong enough. Well, I say that. Yeah, I think it is. Once I get the cut edge in here, the cut edge is going to be, cut back a little bit. I think it's still going to be viable as a chisel. So this is what happens when you get careless. I just overdid it with the grinder, and I'm having to polish it back out, and it's just not quite going to be able to get it all. And I just got too much work into it to redo it right now. So I think I'm going to try it like this. Go with my original plan with the chisel, cut edge for the box cutter, and eventually the little wire stripper. The wire stripper is going to work great because it's so thin. They're going to be able to, really work well as wire strippers. I don't know how the other implements are going to react, or the other functions are going to react, because it is a little bit thinner than what I had anticipated. But we're going to go with it. So out of curiosity, I brought out the Swiss Tool Spirit X to check it against it. Now I'm sitting at 0.0580 right now with my implement, and the one on the Victorinox is 0.0570. So in theory, I should be just fine. I mean, they're virtually, in fact, this one's just a touch thicker, so overall, so if it works for the Victorinox, it should work for the Leatherman. The only difference is the top side has a bevel because it was originally that screwdriver, but once I get the cut edge in there, it's just going to have a double bevel is all. So I think it's going to be okay. If it's good enough for Victorinox, why shouldn't it be good enough for the Leatherman? So we're just going to go with it. Well, I managed to put a decent edge on here, but not being tool steel, who's to say how long it's going to last? But it seems to be pretty decent. I got it decently sharp, so I think I'm going to hold off on putting the knife edge or the box cutter edge. That's going to be a little bit more difficult to put on there, especially after all the time I spent getting that chisel edge, fine-tuned. And it's still not perfect. You can see there's just a slight arch to it. I wish I could get it all out, but man, that's tedious. So I think I'm just gonna run with it like this for now. Well, after getting this tool done, now it is time to figure out what we got to do with the last one. Kind of really got to figure out what tool we're going to put in there. And I may just grind this down and leave the screwdriver for the time being just to put it together, because I need to get it back in order to determine where on that chisel I'm going to be adding that little small wire stripper. So I redid the math and made sure it was right this time. So our spacers 0.0010, or excuse me, 0.0110. 3 combo tool 0.0725, chisel is 0.0580, a little smaller than what we wanted. The awl is at 0.0790 for a total of 0.2205. Subtracted from our original leaves us with a 0.0745. So we got a couple hundredths to take off of, or not quite, but almost 200ths to take off of this tool in order for everything to fit, including the spacers. And I think I want those spacers in there the way I've got them laid out, because I think it's going to be necessary. At any rate, we're going to start working on this one next, and then once we get that done, we're going to put this side back together and kind of fine tune it up. And it'll be time to move on to other things. So hopefully it'll all work out in the end. Again, I went a little bit thinner than what I liked, but I guess it's the same as the Victorinox, so I'm okay with it. And that edge came out pretty nice actually. So hopefully it'll retain an edge for a decent amount of time. At any rate, my name is Ben. You've been watching the Texas Tool Crib and my build of my Leatherman Super Surge. I'll catch you in the next one.